Hello everyone, my name is Dany and welcome to another Pixels AMA recap. So in this AMA, the main focus, the main topic, right, was about, current issues on Pixels and kind of solutions and what they're thinking about on focusing in the near future to like fix and just to make the game better. I think this was like a very important AMA to make in the current status of Pixel. I think it's not in the greatest of spots right now, so I think this is a pretty good AMA, all things considered, just because we actually go through some of these topics that are important for the future of the game. They started out by pointing out some of the issues they have identified from community feedback. The first one is coins. So coins are very hard to get for new players. We'll get more into this a bit later. Game economics, so industries are nearly worthless. We'll talk about this a bit later as well. High inflation of in-game items, and tier 3 and tier 4 resources aren't valued. So we'll talk a bit about everything a bit later as well. There's also community gameplay, so some people are missing the teamwork, community-oriented gameplay, and this has something to do with Carnival has been delayed a lot. There hasn't been really like an event ever since like the Shoreline event. And because the game just isn't working properly right now, they have delayed like the guild events, right? There's supposed to be like this guild leaderboard they have talked about before in AMAs. There's supposed to be contestable lands. So all of these like events that are supposed to be like community oriented, right? Fighting like PvP with other guilds and stuff like that. Just guild leaderboard or, taskboard where you actually have to like have some teamwork with other members of your guild to reach a certain objective and gain some pixel that way. That stuff just hasn't been introduced yet because there are bigger issues to focus on. And yeah, I definitely feel like community gameplay wasn't something that was on my radar before this AMA, but definitely makes sense that people want more of this stuff to kind of eventually come to Pixels again, right? Because we have been hinted on this before and it just hasn't arrived yet. But yeah, we understand that it hasn't got there because of the issues that the game is currently facing. And the fourth is energy. So energy is too hard to get and your playtime is limited because of that. Again, this was because of things we already talked about in previous video as well. We can maybe talk a little bit about this later. Overall, I feel like these are nice issues to kind of attack, right, and try to fix. They also had a section a bit later where they talked about, what's going to be the short-term focus of Pixels, because I also feel like some of the community was a bit annoyed, because when you went to like the AMAs, you saw like Luke being really ambitious and like talking about the future. And I feel like some people got a little bit upset because, what about now, right? What about our current players? Stop focusing on building, on making the game more popular, of introducing new players, right? Make the game good for us now, right? And, there's some truth to that. So they also had like this section with short-term focus of Pixels. We have like industry and tool durability. So yeah, this is something they also touched upon on the game economics parts. So the reason why industries are nearly worthless, right, how they talked about it, is because industries give you a lot of XP on a certain skill. So what's happening, right, is people are kind of just building industries even on a net loss, right, because they're not profitable, and then just trying to like put it on the market at a certain price to try to make some of that gold back. And yeah, they're just using that to level up quickly and try to reach certain levels on a specific skill for like Taskboard. And also I feel like, right, if you think about the game in 6 months from now, if durability does not come to like the kits and the tools, everyone's just gonna have tier 4 kits of everything, and tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 ones will just be completely useless. And that's not what we really want from items, right? Every item should be valuable to a certain degree, right? So I feel like they are introducing this like durability as a way to combat that. I think it's a very good idea because it will combat some of this like devalue of like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 stuff. It will mean that people will need more kits, and it'll just create like this ecosystem that's, I think, just feels good for this type of industry and tool durability. Yeah, I think this is just going to be good overall for like the industry and tool economic part, right? It's going to make them more valuable. There's probably going to be a market around that in the marketplace that isn't like just net negative, right? And I think it's just going to be good for the game. They also mentioned energy regeneration. So obviously this is something they have increased a little bit, right? Before in like chapter 1, you were gaining like 400 energy when you went to the VIP. and then they changed it on like chapter 2 to 600, and then people kept complaining about, you know, the big issue that we have with energy currently, and they changed it to 1,000. You also have like 3 energy from the bed, so there's more ways of earning energy. So they touch upon like maybe fixing, tweaking a few of these things to help the community, not against it. That's at least what I understood. Another big thing they talked about was Taskboard Rework. So they mentioned that the taskboard needs some changes. We had already talked about this before in a previous video as well, and that you know, tier 3 and tier 4 economic fixes. So basically, to understand, they want to adjust the taskboard to the economics of the game, because basically like the marketplace value, what's the value that players are giving a certain resource, because currently basically the taskboard, the tasks are balanced depending on the energy cost of a resource. So when you get like a task on the taskboard, you know, you might get something that costs a lot of energy, so maybe it will give you like a bit more coins or a bit more pixel, but that's obviously not how it should work, because then we have like these super high, the taskboard considers like a certain task to be like really high value, and when you go to like the marketplace, they're like super cheap, and it creates this like very big imbalance, and that's not where we really want from the taskboard, right? So they were like talking about maybe tweaking this, maybe actually just changing it straight up to, instead of being dependent on the energy cost of a resource, be more focused on the value that the marketplace gives a task. This obviously is a bit hard to like predict the outcome. I think it's going to be a good idea at least, but we'll see how the marketplace reacts to this possible change they're going to be doing. I think it's definitely interesting because I feel like the taskboard is one of the biggest problems in the game right now. They also mentioned business and animal care skills, the rework, which is coming. Obviously, you know, we don't have the business skill and the animal care skills and every resource associated with it. With like a tiering system, the kits are still not here. So this is something they're talking about. They want to introduce it to the game. This has been hinted on in previous AMAs as well, and we're just kind of waiting for this to happen. You know, we need to wait for it to actually be reworked to understand if it's going to be, how it's going to, you know, how the game is going to react to those changes, but I am a bit excited to see what they're going to do with that. Another short-term focus is a reputation. So you will be getting now reputation. They want to tweak and actually rework the reputation. They talked about that a couple times, because apparently reputation is too easily accessible with bots, so they want to make it a bit more difficult and make it a bit more smart. So they're probably gonna introduce like new ways for you to earn reputation, like do you have like NFTs, do you have like RON in your wallet, things like that, and just to make the reputation a bit better for, and a bit harder for like bots to get access to reputation, to have access to all the things that reputation blocks you, which is like marketplace access, trading between players, withdrawing pixel, you know, all that good stuff. They also mentioned XP boost, which is basically, right, introducing, you know, XP boost to level up faster. This is probably just going to be like a pixel burning mechanism. It can be pretty interesting, and you know, we need to see more before we can actually like comment on you know, how this works, right? And finally, they also talked about crop harvesting. So basically, landowners have been complaining because there are people and bots, right? They plant something on a land, and that kind of takes a soil spot. You know, usually these things take like 2 minutes to finish, you know, being able to be harvested, and they just don't crop it. And this obviously occupies the soil, so other players can't farm, and this means there's less surplus being generated. And, you know, maybe these players will just go to a different land to plant their soil because this one is taken. And it's obviously like hurting the surplus of landowners, and landowners already feel a bit attacked because the gameplay isn't really focused on tier 3 and tier 4 resources. You know, we don't have the guild stuff, right? The taskboard of like guilds. There's no contestable lands yet. So all of these things are just kind of hurting landowners, and they want to change the crop harvesting. Maybe add like the limit. If you don't like you know, harvest something like 1 or 2 hours, they're gonna be you know, just letting other players like keep it or just cut it faster so that the soil is available for new users again. I think this should have been done a little while ago. I think the max, like if something takes 2 minutes to do and you take like more than 1 hour to pick it up, I think it should just not be yours, because, you know, like, what are you doing? Just plant it. It takes 2 minutes. Just cut it and move on with your life. You know, no need to let it sit there for an hour. That's at least how I feel. But yeah, we'll see what kind of changes they implement here as well. But I think it's going into a good direction as well. So we kind of skipped talking a little bit about some things here because I actually want to specifically focus on some of these things we already talked about in a previous video, right? I made a video why Pixel sucks right now, and I explained kind of a couple of reasons for it. We talked mainly about the taskboard and the energy problems that we currently have, which create basically as a consequence a coin problem. And there's something else I should have talked about in that video that I didn't, and I think this is a good opportunity because it did came up in the AMA. So one thing I just want to say is that I felt like a lot of you felt the same as me, which is just nice, right? It just kind of sounds good, right? When you feel like the game is not in a good spot and other people agree with you, that just feels good, right? There are also like some comments about saying, oh, I think you're being like too over dramatic. You just need to get good. Just progress through the game. And I'm like, my guy, that's the issue. The game, you can't progress through the game because nothing is profitable, right? And I want to expand on that a little bit because, you know, who can progress through the game when nothing is profitable? And when you see, like, for example, like content creators post like on Twitter, look, oh, I made like 800 pixel today. I did like, I don't know, 600 tasks or something. I spent 2 million coins. You're always going to be finding like these comments in the comment section, right? Asking, you know, how do you have coins, right? If nothing is profitable, how do you have coins? And there's two ways that people are obtaining coins at a good rate right now. One of them are players with huge resources, right? They have like a lot of just real money they're spending in the game, or land surplus, right? Like, to give you an example, like W3 is a well-known person in the Pixels community as a content creator, and he has like 20 plus lands. Obviously, he's going to be getting like a lot of surplus. He has like popular lands, so his surplus is going to be even higher than a normal land, and he's just going to be able to get like a lot of financial resources in terms of like coins, and he's obviously able to, I don't know, just be able to do how many tasks as he feels like, right? And he's also a very late game player. He has very high levels, so you know, this is fine. And obviously I have nothing against that, right? If you have a land, you should be making more than someone that doesn't, right? That's like the benefit of owning an NFT land or owning 20, right? In this case. So like that's obviously fine, and that if like this type of person is making more money. But, right, a person, right, a player should not have to own a land to be able to play the game on a basic level. And as you know, on a basic level, I basically mean like play the game, progress through the game, make some profit, right? These are things that are just not working in Pixels right now. But again, this is totally fine. So the second type of people that are able to progress through the game are people buying coins OTC, over the counter. And yeah, I'm generally so glad it was brought up in the AMA because I think it's actually a very huge issue that people just don't realize that much. And I should have talked about it in the previous video. I didn't because the video was already pretty long and I just wanted to focus on those two specific things. But coins OTC is like a real problem in Pixels that I think people are just not realizing how big of a serious issue this is. So because nothing is profitable, right? I feel like the only thing that is profitable right now is honey, is just going to like specific lands that have apiaries because it's a limited industry, and just getting honey because there's a demand for it for wine. And you know, when we're in chapter 2 and the only thing profitable in the game is an unchanged chapter 1 skill resource, something just feels wrong, right? But nothing else is profitable in the game. So because nothing is profitable and there's no real way to progress through the game unless you're using like the free energy Pixels give you, the only real way to progress, right, to reach like the high levels to earn Pixels from the taskboard is by buying coin OTC. Obviously, with coins OTC, right, you're going to be leveling up quickly and you're able to get to those tasks, right? One thing I want to say is that you won't get banned for doing coin OTC. It was frowned upon. It is considered like illegal. I'm just going to show you a little bit of a clip of this AMA from Luke.
So again, I have no problem with real world trading of coins. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I will turn a blind eye to that basically. Like we don't endorse it. We don't allow it, but you probably won't see bans from it in the short term. Our team doesn't have capacity to do it. It should be banned. It's illegal, but our team doesn't have capacity to ban OTC trading with coins.
So yeah, it's technically not allowed, it should be banned and illegal, but it does exist. Luke also kind of mentioned that he kind of likes the fact that there isn't a coin OTC market, but this creates like a problem, okay? If you try to advertise it, for example, there's like this trading section channel on the Pixels Discord, for example. If you try to be like, oh, I want to buy coins, your message will be deleted, and the mods or admins or whatever, they're gonna say like, yo, you can't advertise coins OTC here. So this is definitely something that's not really allowed by the Pixels team, but these are the only players that are able to progress through the game that aren't like these like you know, huge content creators with a lot of resources, like, I don't know, W3, which has like 20 plus lands. Again, a user shouldn't have 20 lands to be able to play the game on a basic level. So the players that are not like W3, which are totally fine players to exist, right? The second type of players are able to progress through the game or buying coins OTC. And this is bad, right? Because the only players that are able to progress through the game are players who are buying coins OTC, which again is illegal, and using that to progress quickly and reach certain milestones to obtain pixels from the taskboard. And now this brings me to another like point, right? If nothing is profitable, how are people selling coins, right? Who is selling coins? And it's very simple. It's bots. So with the Chapter 2 changes, you know, it seems to be that only players that are like level 50s or 60s are getting good amount of pixel from the taskboard, right? So the remaining players, this includes bot, right, can't really make good progress from the taskboard. Like, I am kind of a mid-level player. I can make like more than like 5 pixel a day, which is pretty outrageous, right? So bots have shifted, because bots usually like they mainly like level up farming or something. They had like one skill they were good at, and you know, obviously bots keep trying to farm new accounts and just level up and to try to get some pixel, and then they get banned and create new accounts, and there's this whole process, right? But bots have realized they can't really progress through the game and make pixel anymore, because we real players can't make good pixel a day. So if we can't with the current taskboard, how will bots? So they have shifted to farming coins and selling them OTC to the players who obviously want to buy to progress through the game. And again, this is illegal. So when most players right now can't progress through the game, can't play the game for more than 5 minutes, can only really rely on the free energy because nothing is profitable, you can't really do anything in the game without hurting yourself unless you're using the free energy. So like, I feel like you don't understand how much of an issue this is. When most real players can't progress through the game right now, the players being benefited with the current status of pixels, or the late game players who invested, you know, tons of resources, this can be like money and time, which is completely fine, or the players are buying coins OTC illegally with bots selling these coins. You have to understand, right, if the average player can't play your game and progress, right, and the players being benefited currently are either whales or players doing illegal activity, right, buying OTC coins, and bots are profiting from selling these coins, the game has fundamentally failed. Like, you know, if you just think about it for a bit, it's really frustrating when you, a player, can't progress through the game, and then there's these players just buying coins OTC from bots, progressing through the game, which means bots are profiting because, you know, they're selling the coins, and, you know, players are buying them. These, you know, players are buying the coins, which again should be kind of illegal, and then there's whales for benefiting, which is totally fine again, but then this leaves a problem for the remaining part of the community, which aren't like bots, which aren't doing like this shady OTC stuff, and they aren't whales. The average player can't play the game, and when that is the case, when the average player can't play the game on a basic level, they can't, you know, play for more than like 5 minutes because of, you know, energy drought, they can't profit via anything, right? They can't really play your game. The game has fundamentally failed. I'm going to say it again because it is so important to understand. So yeah, what seems that it's going to happen, right, is that they can't really ban OTC, coin OTC, because they apparently don't have the resources for it, right? And, you know, that's fine. And with what seems to be like the new idea, right, is because they can't stop it. It's just going to be something that exists. They are thinking of creating their own, you know, pixels to coin market. So you can actually buy coins. This will be a bit scared to see like what happens with this. Obviously, coins can become a lot more inflationary, like Barry was. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how they actually manage to do this. For now, it seems that it's not gonna happen because there's bigger issues to focus on right now. But I feel like this is such a serious issue. So we'll see what happens. So we had also another really great comment, right, where, the user basically said, the game is more fun than what it was in Chapter 1. I never said it wasn't, but I also think it's more frustrating. And, how do we play the game? How do we progress when energy is too hard to get and we can't profit with anything in the marketplace? So I'm really glad that Luke was able to actually bring up this comment and talk about it. So the possible solutions, fixes to this they mentioned was tweaking how much energy we give to users per day. They have already been doing this, right? Again, I think I already mentioned this in this video. We increased the VIP sauna energy from 400 in Chapter 1 to 600 in Chapter 2 and then to 1,000, which is what it is currently. We also have the 300 from the bed, so I guess maybe they can give us more energy. I don't think it's going to be enough, right? We can easily burn for 1,000, 2,000 energy in 5-10 minutes, no problem. So there's definitely more that needs to be worked on here. I think instead of trying to find a solution for the lack of energy by giving us more energy, they should focus the problem at its core. And to kind of give you an example, right? I always bring this up when I talk about something like this. This is a real life example, right? When you have people putting trash on the ocean, for example, and you're going to clean the ocean, you're not really fixing the problem. You are fixing the consequence of a problem. The way you stop trash from going into the ocean is not by cleaning the ocean, it's by stopping the people from putting trash in the ocean in the first place. So that's kind of just a real life example, but that's kind of what we have to do with energy, right? Giving us more energy every time is not really going to fix the issue with energy. We need to fix the problems that are causing us to have such an energy deficit. They also talked a little bit about, in the coins part, right, about tweaking the coin rewards from the task board, maybe giving you more coins for certain tasks. I'm not really a big fan of this, because if a task becomes way too profitable, it's gonna ruin the market in weird ways. So I'm a bit skeptical on this. I think they should just make the task board better and introduce new ways for us to earn pixel. And the task board should shift to a daily, weekly type of thing. That's just my opinion. But we'll see how this goes. It's very hard to comment on some of these things and give my opinion without actually having, lived through it. We need to go for the experiment first and see how things react, how the market reacts to some of these tweaks that they're talking about making, and then we can actually make assumptions and, see the conclusions. Another thing they talked about was burn industries and taskboard. This is something I actually thought about before, right? To help with the industry problem they keep talking about. They're making this big deal out of the industry durability thing. I think there's bigger problems at hand. I feel like fixing coins, fixing energy, removing coin OTC, which is again something they considered illegal and they do not want people to do, and which are also benefiting bots. I think these are bigger problems than industries, but they keep mentioning industries like it's a really, really big issue. I think they are really scared about, again, in 6 months, they just look at, the industries in tier 4 is what everyone has, and then tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 are absolutely useless. But I definitely think they should be focusing more short term and just focusing on these really big issues we have at hand. The problem I have with burning industries and taskboard, I think it's a good, I already thought about this before, like I mentioned, but the problem I have with it is that once you introduce durability, this will actually create a weird burning mechanism where, let's say, you're going to be using a kit, and then when the kit is nearly destroyed, you're just gonna keep it on your storage, for example, and then one of these taskboard tasks that require you to burn a kit, you will use the kit that is nearly dead, and then you can gain some coins or some pixel from it, and you can shift that type of earnings to maybe buy a new kit. So there's definitely some weird mechanics that can come if the durability comes. So we need to see how this happens before we can actually reach a conclusion. I think it could be something decent, but we'll see how it is. And yeah, finally, they kind of just talked a little bit about the new avatars. The Moki Genesis collection is gonna come soon. And, this was minted a little while ago, and, Moku is kind of a big project in Ronin. We're going to be getting their avatars coming soon to Pixels, and by the point of me making this video, we also added the Grain Glitchers avatars and the Pajamas. I'll probably show you some examples of their NFTs just in case you're interested. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this AMA. I think it was a good AMA just because we were able to kind of just talk about and it was good to see like Luke and Heidi talked about, hey, these are like the problems we feel like the community is having. We hear you and we're trying to fix them. So they're focusing on the short term. They're focusing on these issues. Again, I feel like some of these issues maybe need a bit more love. Like, I don't think people understand how much of a big issue like coins OTC is. Like specifically, I feel like it's a more indirect issue that maybe needs to be a bit more thought of, because I feel like, you know, when you go to the game and you can't progress with the game because nothing is profitable, you immediately see there's a problem with coins and energy, so everyone knows about it. But on coins and TC, it's not like that. But yeah, I feel like it was good AMA just to hear like Luke talk about, you know, hey, we hear you, community. This is the issues, we're trying to work on this short term, and then we can actually focus on all those future things I kept talking about in the previous AMAs. There's just still a bunch to speculate, a bunch to kind of experiment, try off, and then reach our own conclusions before we can really discuss. You know, basically there, you know, a lot of talking about possible solutions. We actually need to see the solutions be implemented before we can actually, you know, make our conclusions. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it for this week's AMA. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.